Earth orbits into a nightmare is the name of the song that you're hearing right now. It's from the band Chiff Chaffs. They're a surf band based out of Belgium. This comes off of their EP that you can find over at chiffchaffsband.bandcamp.com. Check them out. Let them know that you heard about them here on Bride of Monster Kid Radio. When you're done listening to episode 83 of the podcast, this is week 1 of Kai July 2026. Screonk and all of that. I am super stoked to talk about some giant monster movies, or movies with giant kaiju films. It's what we're going to do this month here on Bride of Monster Kid Radio. I'm your writer, host, and producer, Derek M. Cook. Welcome to the show. Big thanks to the band for being part of the show, and big thanks to you for streaming and or downloading this episode of the podcast. We're going to kick things off in grand fashion with a film that is celebrating a key anniversary this year. We're talking about Godzilla versus Hedorah, also known as Godzilla versus the Smog Monster. It is a film that is divisive. It's got a history with dividing fans, and we're going to talk about that this week, Roundtable style. I've got Beth joining me, and then I've got Monster Kid Radio irregulars Jeff and Matt joining me here as well this week. Super thankful to them and to Beth for making the time to record this week here on the show, especially the way we did it. We actually did it on a Sunday evening, so it's been less than 12 hours since we've recorded, and then I edited everything and then put the show together and then put it out. So thanks to them for making some time in their schedule and making themselves available to Bride of Monster Kid Radio to celebrate one of the best times of the year here on Bride of Monster Kid Radio. And you know what's an awesome way to celebrate Kai July 2026? Kenny! Kenny is back this week with his look at famous monsters of filmland. So pumped to have Kenny in the mix. And, you know, we've been doing kaiju all year round. We've been doing kaiju for years here on the show, courtesy of Mark Matsky and his Beta Capsule review, where he's reviewing every single episode of every single Ultraman series. So we've got Kenny, we've got Mark, we've got Matt, Jeff, and Beth, we got me, we got Godzilla, we got Hedorah, and we got you. But we're going to get to all of that right after this.
Night has fallen, and the time has come to experience terror at Collinwood, a podcast dedicated to the iconic Gothic television series Dark Shadows. Terror at Collinwood explores the hidden secrets within the sinister walls of the Collins estate. Hosted by 2-time Rondo Award-winning television horror hostess Penny Dreadful, the podcast features interviews and in-depth discussions with fans and creators as they examine the cursed characters and supernatural storylines of that creepy classic, Dark Shadows. Beware the night and the restless dead who wail on Widow's Hill, and prepare yourself for terror at Collinwood, a Dark Shadows podcast. Available at terroratcollinwood.com, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Stitcher, YouTube, Seance, The I Ching, or wherever you get your scary podcasts.
Godzilla, King of the Monsters, alive, surging up from the depths of the sea on a tidal wave of terror to wreak vengeance on mankind.
Godzilla, King of the Monsters, it's alive!
A gigantic beast,
Stalking the earth, crushing all before it.
in a cyclonic cavalcade of electrifying horror.
Raging through the streets on a rampage of total destruction.
Godzilla, King of the Monsters,
Incredible titan of terror.
wiping out a city of 6 million in a holocaust of flame.
Jet flames cannot destroy it.
Bombs cannot kill it.
All modern weapons fail.
Is this the end of our civilization?
Can the scientists of the world find a way to stop this creature?
For the answer, see Godzilla, King of the Monsters.
You may wish to deny it, but your eyes tell you it's true.
A tale to stun the mind.
More fantastic than any ever written by Jules Verne.
More terrifying than any ever shown on the screen.
Awesome.
Incredible.
Unbelievable.
A story beyond your wildest dreams.
dynamic violence,
savage action,
spectacular thrills,
Godzilla, king of the monsters,
fantastic beyond comprehension,
gripping beyond compare,
astounding beyond belief.
the mightiest monster of them all.
See Godzilla, King of the Monsters.
Live from the Land of Light in Nebula M78, home of the mighty Ultra Heroes, it's Bride of Monster Kid Radio's Beta Capsule Review. Ultraman Taro, Episode 41, The Mother's Wish, A Midwinter Sakura Blizzard. Original air date January 11th, 1974. A mysterious shadow is ejected from the explosion of the Messier 81 galaxy, which ultimately binds itself to a wall in the Tokyo neighborhood. It happens to be the same wall where youngster Masahiro is creating chalk murals with his friends. The artwork can be seen by his mother, who's hospitalized across the street, and he works on sketching a friendly monster to lift her spirits. However, the alien presence in the wall merges with the drawing, giving birth to Kaiju Gorgoros, who begins a fiery rampage. Masahiro links up with ZAT, and Kotaro helps the boy realize his mother would prefer to see flowers, cherry blossoms in particular. The boy enlists his friends to create a floral scene on the wall, but when Gorgoros recharges, Masahiro attempts to conjure Ultraman Taro by rendering the hero's image in chalk. Will Kotaro be able to realize Masahiro's hope? Episode 41 returns to a powerful device in the world of Ultraman storytelling, namely, the concept of a child's artwork coming to life. Masahiro's motivation for his graffiti falls right in line with the thematic focus of Taro, as he hopes his mother's delight at his drawings will lead to her healing. This inspires Kotaro's willing assistance, including Taro's direct interaction with Masahiro as his battle with Gorgoros gets started. Speaking of Gorgoros, there's no doubt that this monster was partially created by a preteen boy. Part of its arsenal is the ability to release kaiju-sized farts. No, seriously, there are two separate fart launching sequences, creating a direct counterbalance to the heartfelt mother-son dynamic, and an unforgettable visual. For Bride of Monster Kid Radio's Beta Capsule Review, this is Mark Mansky reporting.
The leaves are changing to brilliant colors, making the hills of western Pennsylvania a stunning patchwork of autumn. And it will be time for the Monster Bash Expo and Convention at the Marriott Pittsburgh North. The Monster Bash is October 16th through the 18th, 2026. Movies, vendors, entertainment, special events, giveaways, and the real-life Monster Kids. Guests of honor, Victoria Price, daughter of Vincent Price, Lynn Lugosi, granddaughter of Bela Lugosi, Renee Browning, daughter of Rico Browning, who played the creature from the Black Lagoon, and Michael Glenn Nix, grandson of Glenn Strange, who played the Frankenstein monster in 3 classic films. Monster Bash is the gathering place for classic monster movie fans from across the nation. Don't miss it. This fall's Monster Bash, Friday through Sunday, October 16th through the 18th, 2026, at the Pittsburgh Marriott North. Meet hundreds of fans just like you. Get your discounted membership registration now online at monsterbash.us or get your pass at the door. Monster Bash, a graveyard smash. monsterbash.us.
We love the Monster Bash! Woo!
Dave! Doc Hallen's been killed.
Doc Hallen, what happened?
It's over at his place. You gotta come now.
Now, wait a minute, Steve. Tell us what happened.
Well, I'm trying to tell you. Now, this thing had killed the doc.
Well, what was it?
Stop with it, kid. Well, it's kind of like a It's kind of like a mass that keeps getting bigger and bigger.
Every one of you watching this screen, look out. Because soon, very soon, the most horrifying monster menace ever conceived will be oozing into this theater. Two teenagers see it first, like a falling star from outer space.
Boy, that was close. Hey, come on. I want to see if I can find it.
An old man finds it, touches it, and this is the shocking result. From then on, there's no stopping the blob as it spreads from town to town. It's indestructible. It's indescribable. Nothing can stop it.
This town is in danger.
How can it be stopped? Mob hysteria sweeps one city. Before long, the nation, and then the world could fall before the blood-curdling threat of the Blob.
Starring Steve McQueen and a cast of exciting young people.
Hello there, Monster Kid Radio heads. This is Kenny with a look at famous monsters of Filmland. Today we are looking at Godzilla vs. Hedorah, also known as Godzilla vs. the Smog Monster. It was covered in FM 91 from July of 1972. It was a 6-page article with 6 photos. Here is how it began. It had to happen. One day the smog got so thick it congealed into an amorphous mass, writhing, living, and revealed was the sentient gas horror known as Hedorah, born of the gaseous bubbles and scum of the foul waters of Segura Bay in faraway Japan. Pollution's hideous spawn that threatens to doom the world to a death of poisonous choking. With deadly breath and venom blood, it slithers across the land, a poisoned slime in its wake, a trembling world in its path. It crawls, it swims, it flies, and wherever it appears without warning, it leaves a trail of destruction and death behind. The article continued with a quick summary of the plot and finished just short of spoiling the film. Here is how Godzilla's arrival was covered. In no time at all, Hedorah has reared up 200 feet into the air. At a height of 200 feet, its gaseous mass has semi-solidified into a gelatinous mass. And in the process of development, it has learned to fly. No longer land-bound, it can soar through the air like a venomous vulture, seeking out ever more and more life-giving smokestacks. In America, it would be a job for Superman. In Japan, of course, their only hope is their domesticated monster savior, Godzilla. As the picture progresses to its breathtaking climax, you will see a brave boy fight the smog monster with only a knife. Horror from the heights as a helicopter pilot swoops down over Hedorah. Godzilla's deadly ray in action. The culminating battle from Tokyo to the foot of Mount Fuji. If somebody doesn't get busy and conquer smog, for all of us, it may soon be the end. That is all for this week's look at famous monsters of Filmland. We will have more soon. For Bride of Monster Kid Radio, this is Kenny saying adios.
Out of the polluted waters it came, to become the most fearful menace that ever threatened mankind. Feeding, growing ever more deadly on smog. Only one force dared stand up to its overpowering evil.
Godzilla!
Godzilla versus the Smog Monster. Will Godzilla, man's friend, be vanquished?
More than 1,600 dead have been reported, while other casualties are expected to exceed 30,000.
Storage tank of the Japan Oil Company has exploded.
nothing man can do can stop the smog monster. Can Godzilla save the Earth from this mastodon of destruction?
We really need a theme song for Kai July. I'm sure it'll have lots of screonks and other sound effects in it. So listeners, why don't you get on that and let me know what the theme song for Kai July will sound like. And while you're working on that, I'm going to talk about Godzilla versus Hedorah. Hedorah? Did we ever decide how it's pronounced? Either way, Godzilla versus the Smog Monster with Beth, Jeff, and Matt all here. We're doing a little bit of a roundtable. How's everybody?
I'm doing great. I've had time to recover from seeing this movie.
Uh-oh.
That's a neutral term. It could go either way.
All right.
There's some silliness.
I'm excited. It was fun to see the movie with Jeff in a full house at the Academy Theater in Southeast Portland with, I would say, 2/3 of the audience had never seen the movie before, including Jeff.
When they asked for a show of hands.
Oh, neat.
It was most of the auditorium had not seen it before, including me.
So real reactions.
Oh, yeah, completely. It was great. Wish you guys were with us. It would have been a hoot.
Well, and as the Academy does when they show a classic movie, they show trailers related to it ahead of time.
Yeah.
So we saw trailers for a couple of Godzilla movies. We saw a public service announcement with Godzilla and Godzuki that was about being a good dad.
Oh.
There was a Godzilla commercial for something. I don't remember what the product was. I just remember Godzilla was in the commercial. So, yeah, fun stuff there. Real fun stuff. The Academy always puts on a really great show when they show anything that's not brand new. In fact, I haven't been there to see anything brand new. I don't know what else to just go to a regular first-run movie there.
Well, Beth and I just watched this yesterday. It's how we celebrated our 4th of July, is watched a movie about a monster fighting pollution. Yeah.
We live in a very fire-prone area, so this was the responsible way to see fireworks.
We watched it at home, so didn't get a chance to see it on the theater on the big screen. It would have been fun to see it with y'all or with a crowd, because there were some moments in this that I think we would have spent a lot of time just kind of looking at each other in the movie theater, wondering just what in the heck we're watching. Because there are a lot of moments in this movie that are like, yep, this movie was made in the 70s.
Well, the Academy was doing with this is the first of a collaboration they're having with Cosmic Monkey Comics in Portland. And so, there was cross promotion between the two businesses.
Love that.
The recent Godzilla versus Portland comic, they were handing out copies with a cover exclusive to this event.
Oh.
And they had probably at least half of the creators of people that, half of the people that worked on this anthology one-shot there. And, I had them all sign my cover. I presume, Matt, you and your kid did too.
Yeah, and I talked to them for a little bit. I don't have their names in front of me. The cover artist and the colorist, they're both from Eugene, Oregon. They came up for this. No. And you said half of the creators of I think there's 4 stories in the book, were there. And I talked to them for a little bit, and I asked them what the experience had been. And they were thrilled to be meeting fans. And they said that the publisher was really open-minded and allowed them to do a lot of things that were very Portland-centric in the stories. And for me, I had read it when it first dropped a few months ago, and I loved it. And it was really magical to meet folks that were behind it creatively.
Now, Derek, I know you have a copy because the copy actually paid for. I sent to Arizona with Beth.
Yes.
Have you read it yet?
I have not yet. I need to. I need to. So this was released by IDW Publishing. It's part of a Godzilla versus America line of comics they're doing, where Godzilla will show up in places like New York or San Diego. In this case, it happened to be Portland. Portland is a very big comic book town, so I'm not surprised there were some local creators in the Portland and Portland adjacent area involved. That's super cool. Cosmic Monkey, you can find out more about Cosmic Monkey Comics at cosmicmonkeycomics.com. I had been there a few times when I lived up there. Their back issue collection is awesome, which I absolutely love because a lot of comic book stores don't do a lot with back issues much anymore. I find that they really do more sales with graphic novels and things like that, which I get. But if you're looking for that one issue, man, and you're in the Portland area, go to Cosmic Monkey Comics. They might be able to hook you up. So,
where they are on Southeast Sandy, they're not really convenient for me.
Okay.
Go there once in a while, but
but where you live, nothing's convenient for you.
all closed.
I've been to your house now. Nothing is convenient from the backside of Cemetery Hill.
But no,
well,
if you live in North Portland, Cosmic Monkey is a great place to go for your comics.
Yep.
And if a kaiju were to come to Portland, Jeff's house is probably the safest place to be then if it's not convenient for Godzilla,
Okay. So as a public service announcement, I'm going to put Jeff's home address in the show notes. So we all Now, that sounds like a really fun time. I have talked about the Academy Theater before. I've done some screenings there where I've seen Creature from the Black Lagoon and a few other things there as well. I think it just sounds like a fun time. And I saw the pictures. I think, Jeff, are you the one that sent me the pictures from the lobby?
Yeah.
So that was super cool. I'm glad you guys had a good time.
An obligatory photo of myself with the Creature from the Black Lagoon. They have a life-size replica there that they have dressed differently every time I go. Sometimes it's dressed differently when I come out of the movie than from when I went into the movie. So I always take an Ussie of me and the creature and make sure that Derek gets to see that.
Everybody else out there, all you monster kids, if you go to the Academy Theater, send a picture of Derek on Facebook or however.
Oh, I love
Absolutely.
that. I love that idea.
Put it in the Monster Kid Radio Facebook group.
academytheaterpdx.com is their website, and their theater is spelled with an ER at the end, so go check that out. I'll make sure there's a link in the show notes to that. Not Jeff's address, but the Academy Theater you can definitely get to from there. So as far as the movie goes, first time watch for Jeff, first time watch for you, Matt?
No, this is the second time I've watched it. I watched it a few months ago on HBO Max.
Okay.
I had kind of forgot this, but my son Emmett was with us for the show. It was his first time watching, and he reminded me of, oh yeah, Dad, you did that kaiju binge a few months ago where you watched a bunch of Godzilla movies. This was one of them.
And I know it was a first time watch for you, Beth. Yeah?
Yeah.
I had seen this once before. I did my deep dive of every Godzilla movie once I decided I was a Godzilla fan and kind of mainlined almost all of them, basically in a row. And I watched this then, and I hadn't watched it since. So there were things that happened in this movie that I didn't remember. There was one very specific thing that happened that I did remember, and I could not wait for it to happen in this movie so I can get Beth's reaction. When it happened, I just said, it's happening. It's happening. And it's, I know we're skipping ahead, but it's Godzilla flying. What?
That's one thing that was exciting for me watching this with Jeff and Emmett is this movie, Godzilla versus Hedorah, came out July 24th, 1971. Happy 55th anniversary to the film and all the folks who made it. But some of the words that come to my mind immediately with this movie is, wonderfully strange, eco-horror, kaiju hijinks, avant-garde, maybe even subversive. And being able to watch this with people I know and seeing how they reacted on a first-time watch, that was as thrilling as the movie was.
That's one of my favorite things about sharing any of these movies with Beth is knowing that they're usually first-time watches for her, and to get her reaction is just so much fun, pleasurable for me. It's just, this is awesome. So, yeah, this one is an odd one. Comes out in 71, so Godzilla's been around for a little while already. Came out in the 50s in Japan, and he started as this horrific thing and had been slowly morphing into the protector of Japan, and kids love him. This movie takes place in a world in which there are Godzilla action figures and toys.
Yeah.
Toys for King Ghidorah, and there's even an Ultraman in the background. So this is a weird kind of meta movie almost, I feel like, in that, is it connected to the other movies? I don't know. They didn't really try hard to maintain a strict continuity all the time. It was made by a first-time filmmaker with this franchise. It's a weird one. Beth, I'm sorry, I didn't mean to talk over you. What were you going to say?
All right. To me, it almost felt like, and this would sort of line up with the timeline if you think about it, felt like a Godzilla movie for parents of young children where the parents grew up on original Godzilla.
Oh, that's a really interesting take.
You know,
yeah,
when they came back and started making, they'd taken the long break on Toy Story movies, and then all of a sudden they're, oh, those people are parents now. We should make more Toy Story movies, kind of concept. And so it did have a little bit of, it wanted to try to hit all the nostalgic things, and in a way that almost made it more campy. Because the different nostalgic things came from different Godzilla movies over that original decade or so.
This movie compared to the original Godzilla is like Hogan's Heroes to The Great Escape.
Yes, exactly.
I disagree.
A little bit. in the nostalgia area, yeah, kinda. Because, I mean, every time in this movie that Godzilla comes on screen, at least on land and a little bit in the water too, the jazzy late 60s music makes it sounds like it's Godzilla's stripper music. I don't know how else to put it, because it's like ba-bum, ba-da-da-da-da. And then his walk is very like fancy.
The G in G string means something else when it's Godzilla.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, no, I did not like Godzilla's theme in this movie, and I really missed the original Godzilla theme.
Yeah.
I'll agree with you, Jeff, in the sense that when the kaiju are on screen, they're Hogan's Heroes-esque. But the rest of the movie, I think, is a lot more like the original Godzilla than the last 10 films, in the sense that they were making a cultural commentary on how messed up the world is. And that's one thing that's really strange about this movie is, on the one hand, you have this extreme eco horror flick, and they almost use monster fights to break the tension and to liven things up, which makes it unlike any other movie. Say that again?
The monster fights were so much padding the runtime out.
Yeah.
I agree. The parts of the movie that did not have special effects were beautifully shot, beautifully directed. The acting was really good. Even the kid was pretty good. And, you can't...
Papa!
And he's got a pretty scary moment in there fairly early on.
Oh, yeah. Yeah,
when Scubaing away, and he has his own encounter and the whole knife thing.
And...
Ugh.
Well,
yeah, it was.
I was like, why does a 5-year-old have a giant butcher knife?
Even when the tadpole monster isn't attacking him, when he's just, realizing his dad's been gone too long, that's heartbreaking.
Oh, yeah. We were,
We need the monster attack to feel bad for that kid.
Beth, you said you felt like maybe this was made for the grown-ups who now have kids to show. I could see some of that, but this movie also has one of the highest body counts. You see so many dead bodies and corpses and skeletons and everything. A
lot of death.
Yeah, so I don't know what version of Toy Story you're watching, unless it stops just as they go into the incinerator at the end of Toy Story 3, and that's it. Because that's...
English toy box.
Yeah.
That's another area where I think this is like the original Godzilla, is the fact that, like, with the first one, you have a country reeling from World War II and the impacts of atomic weapons. I did some research, and the late 60s and early 70s in Japan, there was horrible pollution.
Yeah.
You had thousands of people dying and sick from the rapid industrialization and all these corporations dumping toxic fumes in the air and dumping chemicals in the water. You ended up with people with Minamata disease, which is caused by methylmercury. You had in Yokai Ichi, you had hundreds of thousands of tons of sulfur dioxide being put in the air, putting children in the hospital, killing the elderly. There was a huge social uprising against pollution and all the things that were going on in Japan right at the time that this movie was made. And the director, let's see, I have his name here. This is the only Godzilla movie he did. Yoshimitsu Banno he had gone to the Yokkaichi River before and had seen the pollution and the dead fish and all the toxic waste. Mm-hmm. And that was a huge factor on him when he made this movie, which is, a lot like Ishiro Honda seeing the effects of Hiroshima. Mm-hmm. And so there's that parallel there, definitely flavored side of the story.
I think one of the most effective pieces of imagery in the movie is right in the beginning and then show it again later. And it's this clock.
Clock! I was going to say the clock, yes.
Clock in the sludge in the water. The hands are gone. And to me, the message was clear. You're out of time.
Mm-hmm.
Nice.
It was just such a perfect image to go with the message of this movie.
Well, when they show it the first time, there's a single bong.
Yes.
But the second time, it's quiet.
Time's up.
Time's completely up.
I think, this movie has a lot to say. And I think both points are right. That, this was made as part of a franchise. So you got to kind of think about the franchise and serve that audience. But it also is telling a very near personal story, a personal viewpoint of what's going on in Japan with the pollution and everything else. The Minamata disease, if I said that correctly, was also sometimes known as dancing cat disease because cats were very susceptible to it. Wow. And it makes me wonder if that's why we had the random cat show up as being covered in sludge in that one shot.
Heartbreaking.
Yeah.
So sad.
Yeah, the cat doesn't show up anywhere else. It just happened to be there. And I don't know if that was a reference to dancing cat disease or not, but it is pretty heartbreaking that now we're seeing that whatever it is we did to feed into Hedorah, now it's affecting cats and the livelihood of the ecology, the fish and everything else going on. It's pretty intense. And I don't know if it's the movie we would have gotten if the producer wasn't sick during most of the production and Banno, the director, got to basically run around unchecked to make the movie he wanted to make without a lot of oversight from Toho and the producers.
Yeah, Tomoyuki Tanaka was the producer. Mm-hmm. I guess he had discovered Banno's talent at the World's Expo at Osaka, where Banno had made a film that had special effects in it about the birth of the Japanese islands, which impressed Toho and Tanaka. He was a first-time director, but he had been an assistant director under Akira Kurosawa on Throne of Blood and Hidden Fortress and had done some TV. But he ended up with probably the most free hand of anybody who directed at Toho because Tanaka ended up being hospitalized. And from what I understand, from what I've read, was that Tanaka would see dailies after he kind of recovered and was in total shock with what the film looked like. And he took it to Ishiro Honda and begged Honda, who had been basically done doing kaiju films, begged him to come in and to consult the young director and to help him out. And I don't know if it's true or not, but what I've read that the Flying Godzilla was Ishiro Honda's approved idea.
Another story that I read about the producer is that when he saw the scuba footage, he was furious because that was not approved. That was something that was thought up, not necessarily on the fly, but kind of late in the pre-production process. And it was actually Banno himself in the scuba suit shooting some of that stuff.
Wow.
And so there was some tension there as well. The tension continued throughout the entire production at the end when supposedly Banno was told, "You've ruined Godzilla. And you'll never work here again."
See, and I loved the scuba footage. It really made, what it made me think of was the monster that challenged the world.
Oh, yeah.
I thought the underwater scene was one of the better scenes and some of the better special effects.
Mm-hmm.
And
Yeah,
it really sold the thing with the kid on shore.
Yes.
Yes.
Because the dad was afraid, then the kid freaking out was, okay, I believe that, you know?
Mm-hmm.
I do wish we would have had a scene of him getting rescued from the water. Like, there's a few parts in this movie where I feel like there are scenes that are missing. And that could have been by the fact that this was not shot on a 35-day schedule, allegedly with half the budget of the prior films. But
well, and
that
if
was one
the
of those
scuba
scenes.
was added, I wonder if the whole thing with, the dad and the kid are on land when he's going into the water. I wonder if that was there, but the underwater wasn't. They added the underwater and just, they had never intended to necessarily show the monster then, but ended up doing it.
Well, that makes sense too, because it seemed to me that before he got in the water, all the dad had was a snorkel, and then he has a whole scuba suit on. Did I miss something? I could have sworn he only had a snorkel.
There were a couple moments in this movie there were a couple moments in this movie where I felt like there were some scenes that might have been missing, and I didn't know if that was because of the cut that we were watching. Now, we watched it subtitled. I don't know how it was presented at the Academy.
Yeah, it was subtitled.
Okay, so I don't know if there was just a transfer issue or something, but there were a few jumps that once you got past the jump, you kind of can fill in the blanks yourself as a smart audience member and not a problem. But it would have been nice because when they cut away from Ken, as the camera's pulling back away from him and Ken's looking over the ocean, Papa, that's heartbreaking, man. And then it just hard cuts to the next scene. Papa's gone, kid. That's.
I thought he was dead. I thought he was a goner, and I was is the 5-year-old gonna have to solve the mystery?
Well, he kind of does, right?
I mean, he kind of does, but I know they do science early there. But come on.
Well, to me, it almost seemed like Ken, played by Hiroyuki Kawase, I hope I pronounced that right, seems to have a psychic connection with Godzilla. Like, it's almost like Luke and Obi-Wan there for a little bit. He knows the Godzilla's coming. He knows why Godzilla's coming.
Telepathic power, and he says, "When does Godzilla have a telepathic power?"
Right. Well,
he dreams it.
Gained that when he learned how to fly.
Godzilla is a fairly smart kaiju in this. He does reasoning in his battle with Smog Monster, which was pretty interesting.
There was one shot along those lines, Jeff. I want to comment on that real quick. There's one shot towards the end after Godzilla has finished off Hedorah, and the camera shot is over Godzilla's shoulder, looking down at Godzilla's hands as he's crumbling up the bits and pieces that are left. And suddenly we're in Godzilla's point of view almost. I mean, not technically a point of view shot, but it may as well have been. And now Godzilla is an active participant for sure. In the proceedings here. He's not just a force of nature like he has been presented before. He's actively involved. And to have that particular shot just really, I've never seen that before. I've seen him argue with Rodan and Mothra telling him to knock it off, but I've never seen that before. And I thought that was really cool.
Well, in his creative problem solving, okay, the monster needs to be dried out, but it's too thick to just dry out in one piece. So he just shreds it. And then the individual pieces can be dried out, and that solves the problem.
And the fact that you have that reaction shot of Godzilla looking at the humans, I feel like it's the first time where you see him acknowledge humans in a way. And that's something that I found really interesting about this movie, was that Godzilla is, sort of a force of nature, but he's also sort of trying to defend the Earth. And when he first sees the toxic waste on the ocean, he tries to blast it away, but all it does is ignite. And after everything's all done and said at the end of the movie, the pollution is still there. And it's such a gut punch.
Yeah.
Where your Godzilla knows that we are part of the problem, but he's also working with us. But it's also sort of pointless in a way. And I kind of wonder if that's part of the reason this movie got such a bad rap for so long, was that humans are the cause and they're not really the solution.
Yeah. It didn't do well. Didn't get reviewed well at all. Didn't kill the studio, obviously, or the franchise, but it didn't do well, and there's a reason why there was never a follow-up, the way it's kind of implied there's going to be at the end.
Like Plan 9 from Outer Space, this was in Harry Medved's book, The 50 Worst Films of All Time.
Right, and I don't believe that for a second.
I don't think that's
No way.
fair.
No.
I've seen Dreams in Balloon Land. I know better.
Yep. And anyone who lists a movie other than that as the worst movie ever has not seen it.
Yeah. Even though it didn't do that well, of course, it got picked up for distribution here in the US as Godzilla versus the Smog Monster. And I went and I found the old press kit that was put out when that was released. And I love looking at these things to see the suggestions they come up with for how to promote the film. Some of the ideas for exploitation of Godzilla versus the Smog Monsters involved propping up Godzilla as a Smokey the Bear character and getting involved with local Boy Scouts and Girl Scouts and 4-H clubs and having them put on a clean up the streets event with a giant cutout of Godzilla as kind of a spokesperson of that. I thought that was kind of cool.
Stop. Water pollution.
They recommend showing it to schools to help, teach them about.
Yeah, look at all these dismembered bodies.
Right? I don't understand that.
Well, Godzilla was the Japanese Lorax.
Right? They talk about working with the local gas companies to talk about how we've converted to natural gas instead of oil because that's better for the environment. Okay. They talk about this. There's two of my.
This is the 70s, I know.
It is the 70s. My two favorite, though. One is to have someone record the screams from the movie. So watch the movie, record the screams on tape, and then just play that tape at full volume through the lobby of the theater just to kind of get attention from people on the outside,
Oh my Godzilla. That's crazy.
But my favorite one, have the local bar owner create a new mixed drink labeled the Godzilla Cocktail. It clears that 5 o'clock smog from your brain.
Seriously, or creates it?
What was that?
Well, you said it clears the 5 o'clock smog from your brain. I'm questioning if it clears the smog or creates it.
Yeah, really.
Oh, man. That's...
I kind of wonder if people who wrote the movie were influenced by Gamera. Because Godzilla was really kind of a Gamera character in this.
Yeah.
I had that thought too. Yeah, when the little boy was in danger the one time, I had the thought of, where are you? What is it, your day off? So Godzilla's got to...
It felt very Gamera-like. There's even some moments that felt Ultraman-like to me. There's a lot of things going on in this movie that just don't feel like your normal Godzilla movie. But then when you start to look at it, like Matt was pointing out, it feels very much like the original Godzilla movie because it's talking about this crisis and the effects of what's happening, and Godzilla's presence and all of that is just really interesting. And I get why it wasn't well received, but I also understand why now it's considered kind of like a cult classic.
Well, that's the half of the movie that's good, is the human half. All the kaiju fight stuff, it's not. I mean, the lack of budget shows.
I think it was smart to put a lot of the kaiju fight scenes at night, but I wish that they were more dynamic in their fights. And I kind of got tired of hand gestures towards Hedorah.
The KSL, the kaiju sign language was a little.
Yeah.
Are they talking? What are we doing here?
And
I didn't understand that. Yeah.
Godzilla costumes never looked worse.
I will say Hedorah looks awesome.
Hedorah's
design was unbelievable, and I did some research into that.
Okay.
Of course, Tsuburaya, the tokusatsu master, had died before this movie was made, 1970. A lot of people who were involved with making special effects for him kind of lost heart after that and left Toho. So you had a bit of a vacuum in the special effects department. Some of the people you had left over that were still there was Yusuke Inoue, who's a production designer on this movie, and Teruyoshi Nakano, who was the director of special effects. And they both went out of their way to make Hedorah alien, to make it not move like a monster or a human or an earth-based animal. I read a short interview with Ken Pachiro Satsuma, who's the Suitmation actor who was in the suit. And he said that his primary goal was to avoid animalistic movement, that he wanted it to be spooky, scary, and grotesque. And I think he achieved that. Later went on to be a Godzilla performer after this, in the Heisei era.
Mm-hmm.
But I do think Godzilla could have looked better, but kudos and credit to people who worked on Hedorah's suit. Yeah.
Oh,
well, and
gross.
One of the least effective things about Hedorah is just strictly a limitation of the time. It was when it transforms from its land
transformation,
scare form, it's a flash of light. That's just, no one ever considered the idea that one day you would be able to animate that and have it morph on screen, which is
right.
And that would be really awesome. So for that, I give them a break. On the other hand, you were talking about Ken's giant knife that he's picking muscles out of the tide pool with. And then when the Hedorah tadpole flies overhead, he just sticks it up and it makes this huge gash in the monster.
Free Willy style.
Yeah.
And I don't know if that knife was made of adamantium, but slices through Hedorah like a hot knife through butter. And then we find out that Hedorah is actually made of minerals. And I'm going, no, knife is not going to cut through that. That's not going to happen.
Yeah. The Godzilla suit had been reused multiple times. This was not a new suit necessarily made for this film. There were some alterations made to it from before, but it's starting to show its wear and tear quite a bit. And, that's, again, a cost-saving measure, I'm sure, on behalf of Toho. But the Hedorah suit, I thought, looked great. And there were a couple of times where I think, Beth, you commented to me, is okay, I can see the person in the suit. But
no, there's only one time.
Yeah, one shot.
There was only one time when he'd been slammed down and just the camera angle was just right. I could kind of be, oh, that's a leg. I see where the shadow of the leg is. But no, it was so goopy that it could have been puppeteers. It could have been, it well performed.
It could have been multiple people.
And well
It
constructed.
could have been,
yeah.
It was really good, obscuring the human image. And it wasn't, the symmetrical-ish thing. Yes, it had two eyes, but they weren't even. And the way it kind of moved, oozed, and all that was so well done. I was impressed with it. And while some of the kaiju fights did seem to be a little silly and go on a little too long and felt like padding, when Godzilla punches his eye out, what?
Yeah, that's gross.
That was, okay. I mean, do what you got to do, man. I didn't expect that. So it gave me something I didn't expect, which, I appreciate that too.
And the carryover of the sludge, that it's based on sludge. And then when Godzilla's punching holes in it and you have goo kind of oozing out and it's still not having any effect, Hedorah, to me, that was one thing that was impressive in a way. It showed that Hedorah was this unstoppable force of chaos and darkness.
Mm-hmm. Well,
I think it helped sell that for me.
It was an American song that did play in my head a bit through this movie. It creeps, it leaps, it slides. Hedorah was the Blob.
There you go. We'll double feature this with the Blob. That'd be fun.
Well, one thing that Emmett and I came to with this movie was that when we left, it also reminds me of the Never-Ending Story. Nothing. The force of the nothing and the lack of imagination and the failure of humans is what's causing the end of the world. And that Hedorah, in a way, is kind of like Gamok. It's the creature sent forth to bring forth the end. This movie has all sorts of strings attached. We have all kinds of theories.
I see it.
Yeah, the person I blame the failures of this movie on is not the director.
No.
It needed a longer plot. So we wouldn't have to have so much kaiju battle.
And towards the end, too, they just kept going and going. And after Godzilla takes the two things out and destroys them, And then he has to do it again. That should have been the end. That was like the
Right?
crescendo.
Yeah.
That was where we needed to stop.
An ending that wasn't so nice that they made it twice.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was one of my biggest complaints, the movie.
Yeah.
By far. I wish that they would have shown how Godzilla takes a heck of a lot of punishment in this movie. I think he gets beat worse in this than any of the other movies I can think of. And when he's getting buried in the mountainside, they never show you. What's that?
Mud pit?
Yeah, the mud pit. They never showed you how he got out of it.
Yeah. And what did I miss?
Right.
You know, how long was that blink I took that I missed how he got out of the pit?
Yeah.
Yeah. So there are two elements in this movie that are just kind of like out of left field. The animated that we don't normally see. The animated sequences.
The dream sequences.
Sure.
I love the animation sequences. It reminded me of the Watership Down animated film when you had them telling the stories about, the rabbit god. It was like that. And Bono wanted animation to be a part of this from the get-go. He originally wanted Yoshiharu Suge to do the animation. And he was a big-time manga artist who was sort of alternative. He's kind of considered the R. Crumb of Japan. And Toho, being an establishment, as it was, with a reputation, was absolutely not. There's no way you're going to get him. They came to a compromise, and they hired Hisashi Yasui, who was a self-taught artist, and he did the 3 animated sequences. After this, he went on to have his own company. He did commercials and TV work. But I love the heck out of the animation. It was so different, and it also kind of made Hedorah more otherworldly for me. I don't know. What did you guys think?
I think it was super effective. Like I said, I interpreted it as Ken's dreams or imagination. And I thought that was a wonderful way to show that from the kid's perspective. And I think it was wonderfully animated too. I mean, the animation was much better than anything we saw with the monster suits.
Okay. What did you think, Beth?
Liked it. I thought it added something, and since I felt like this was, even with all the death gore, still sort of a family movie, I thought it was a fun way to kind of re-explain some of what was going on in case the kids hadn't quite gotten it from, kids who might be watching hadn't quite gotten it from all of the adult talk.
Everyone understand this now?
Yeah. Go ahead.
No, go ahead.
I was going to say, I think that's also part of the reason that this movie has been so polarizing, is it is so disjointed. It has so many different elements that you wouldn't normally see in one movie. Same with like the dance club and like the acid trips and the fish heads, and which I think is glorious when they're wearing the fish masks.
My take on that was, by that point in the movie, everyone knows Hedorah is attacking them, and they know it's feeding off garbage and smog and whatever. And so that to me was, if we don't change, we're all going to end up like the fish at the beginning of the movie.
Okay.
Nice.
It is such a weird sequence. It is so bizarre. And look, I mean, we were talking about Gamera earlier. There's a sequence in Gamera where the party dance scene where they're dancing to Gamera, they're dancing to the song. So I understand, there's a dance moment and Hedorah might be mentioned or whatever. But then the guy who's just there to drink looks around and everybody's in fish heads. So bizarre and surreal.
Well, he's not there to drink. His girlfriend's the singer.
I know, but all he's doing, he's not partying. He is just sitting there, the weight of the world with that amazing ascot and just drinking, pounding down whatever. And then suddenly everybody's in fish costumes or fish heads. And it is so weird and out of the blue. And I kind of loved it.
Yeah, I loved it too. I do feel like I wonder if this is more social commentary in a way. You're coming out of the 60s and the director and those at Toho were all these young kids who partied like crazy and then decide to try to be a movement on the mountain are insignificant in the face of Hedorah, And the fact that they end up throwing torches at Hedorah, it's like a Universal monster movie, was insane as well.
Beth said that. It's the mob.
Here comes the mob.
Yep.
Yeah.
Going back to the Blob, it's the kid throwing his cap gun at the Blob, but when he runs out of caps.
Exactly. So, what was with the creepy hill people watching the kids party on Mount Fuji?
Emmett and I went back and forth on that. We're not sure. Like, are they ghosts or are they people who have been so lost and are victims? They're just stunned to see these kids, these young people partying with reckless abandon as the world ends. I don't know, but it's haunting.
Yeah.
Maybe gone to live in the hills because they lost everything in previous kaiju attacks.
Oh, there you go. I like that.
Okay.
I mean, that's just speculation and conjecture on my part. The movie gives us nothing.
Yeah.
In a way, I feel like that's sort of the magic to this movie for me, is it allows you to read in what you want. There's so much room and so much experimentalism. I feel like it's up to the viewer to kind of bring their own experience or baggage into the experience.
Yeah.
Yeah, I like that. And that kind of makes it feel like it's from a kid's perspective to a certain degree, too.
That's cool.
There was a lot of this that felt like this was just Ken having one heck of a dream. I mean, there would be some point of view violations, obviously, if that were the case, but Ken really kind of drives a lot of this because he's got that telepathic link with Godzilla, the way Gamera would later with other characters in their films. It's just... there's enough going on here that you can interpret it a couple of different ways. And I think a lot of the 70s genre pictures are like that. And to see one come out of Japan was just, I know I'm going to rewatch it again and I'm not going to wait nearly as long and just really do a deep dive because this is a bizarre one, man.
At the end of the movie, when Godzilla is walking away, shouting after him, Godzilla, Godzilla, I leaned over to Mike and went, Shane, come back, Shane.
Which had me laughing out of my seat.
Oh, man. Yeah. The music, you mentioned Godzilla's theme not being as strong, and it's not. Manabe, I think I'm pronouncing his last name correctly, has done quite a bit of work for Toho and other companies over the years. And normally I like his stuff, but the Godzilla theme, I couldn't get the stripper out of my head as soon as Beth said something about how he's got this sexy stripper music whenever he shows up on screen. And he's got this weird jerking thing going with his hand. And I still don't understand that unless he was trying to communicate that he was having a hard time breathing too because of the sulfur in the air. I don't know.
They kept wiping his mouth.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was music was goofy. I really wish that we would have had the iconic Godzilla theme.
Just somewhere.
It would have helped me see Godzilla as a powerful rival to try to stop Hedorah. But instead you have this goofy, wonky strip music as the giant lumbers onto the land. Yeah, definitely
he didn't even completely lumber. That was part of it. I guess I didn't know that the suit had been reused. I just assumed it was a different suit that was designed differently. But now that I know that it was a reused suit, it feels broken in because it moves in ways that a new, stiffer suit wouldn't. So you don't get as much stiffness. He seems more human. And that's problematic. Yeah.
Yeah. I know that we've been pretty hard on the way Godzilla moves about in this movie, but in the suit was Haruo Nakajima, who was Godzilla in a dozen films, more than any other actor. In fact, he was the original 1954 suitmation actor.
And I don't even know that it's anything he did. I think the suit itself just showed more of his physicality than a brand new stiffer suit might have.
Yeah, I think that's a really good perspective.
Yeah.
Because I assume back then those are just rubber, right? They've just mold poured rubber, basically.
Well, and what's sad about it is a lot of those suits were just hung on the wall of the studio on the exterior of the building, and they let nature rot them away.
Yeah, they're all the time.
Well, look, I understand not wanting them in the room you're in. They probably smelled awful after those actors were in there for hours.
Sweating for hours and hours.
But you don't have to leave them out there permanently. I get airing them out. I get that.
Yeah. So apparently this was Roger Ebert's favorite Godzilla film.
The person that introduced the movie says the favorite of Roger Ebert and of Nick Cage.
It feels like the most Nicolas Cage Godzilla movie, I think. I'll go with that.
That tracks.
Yeah,
That so
does
tracks.
kind of have that arm jerking Nick Cage in Spider Noir.
So we're saying that Godzilla influenced Nicolas Cage's acting, I guess.
Sure.
Oh man. Abano would not work in Godzilla Dumb for Toho again. However, he really wanted to do a sequel to this. He had started to write one. It obviously did not happen. However, he was brought in and was involved in the very beginning of the legendary films, Monsterverse films.
Oh, cool.
So he did get a chance to play in that pool again. Now, even though he is now passed, he's still listed as an executive producer on a lot of the legendary Godzilla movies. So he got to do some Godzilla later. And if I remember right, Beth, one of the Mecha Godzilla movies that we went to go see with Fathom Events or whatever, there was a short film before one of them. And I believe Hedorah was the villain in that.
Yes.
So you've seen Hedorah before on the big screen, just in a short.
Right, yeah.
Oh, wow.
It was like
I didn't
a
know
making
that.
of. It was like they were showing how they make the battle scenes and everything. And that's something where, look, I appreciate CGI. I'm so glad we have it because there was some stuff in the 80s with sci-fi that just hurt because it was so crunchy. So I love that we have CGI for certain things, but for me, nothing is going to beat that actual scale model with all the details and a dude in a detailed suit fighting another dude in a detailed suit or a gal in a detailed suit, whatever. And, just really getting the realism of going at it and having a real explosion and real smoke, water, all of that.
I would like to see a fan cut of this movie where they cut it down to an hour runtime because I really feel there is too much monster fighting in this monster movie. And the monster fighting that they do keep, I think, should be replaced with a CGI to make it look better. Because this does not look good.
I kind of would want to spend more time if I could go back and redo things and add things to the film. They started to have a little bit of fun towards the end with the military. It'll take me 10 minutes to fix it. Well, you have 5, and then everything goes down. I got it fixed. It's too late, you idiot. I would have liked to have seen more with the military unit kind of doing stuff. That could have been fun. Instead of the second round, pulling orbs out of the corpse of Hedorah.
It seemed like it could have influenced the works of Christopher R. Mim, buffoon military.
I could see that.
I have seen online that some people have made the comment that it influences Shin Godzilla in the sense that it shows the bureaucracy failing and that humans are inept. I think that there's no sequel to this, but there's flavors of it in other things. You mentioned how he has an executive producer credit, going into the American Godzilla. In that film, I don't really remember it all that well, but I want to say that there was an environmental aspect to that. And that certainly goes back to this film.
Yeah.
Well, that theme is there in more ways than one. Not only do we see things go wrong, some of that I'm going to say is the monsters are fighting and they're messing stuff up. Ideally, we would have consulted with Godzilla first and been like, okay, we're going to do this power thing. Please don't knock over any power lines. That'll be really unhelpful. But he didn't have time to arrange that. So I get that. But there is some buffoonery. But even the fact that this scientist, this sort of, I think, minor scientist, doesn't feel like he's super important at first because he kind of has to shout to get people's attention. He's been horribly acid burned and he's supposed to be recovering in bed at home. And yet he has so little trust in the military and the government that he's like, all right, wife, open the hatchback. Here we go.
Drive me up the mountain.
Got him on a bed in the hatchback. He can't even sit up in the car. That's how ill he is. So they throw him in the hatchback and drive him up the mountain where this kaiju battle is going on. And he gets there, and the military is, oh, we're so relieved they knew what to do. They should not have needed this guy if they were at all competent, right?
Right. I would also be remiss if I didn't mention that even though he did work, or some of his work led to the legendary films, Bono did approach Toho towards the end of the Millennium era of films about doing a 3D film for IMAX for Godzilla. Wrote a 40-minute script. It was going to be called Godzilla 3D to the Max. Supposed to have a budget of $9 million.
Can you imagine if he had Hedorah in that throwing globs of sludge at the audience?
Oh, God.
That would be so cool. And then you do the 4D thing and just spray water on them and stuff. No?
Yeah, I can picture someone with a cannon firing chocolate pudding at people in the audience.
Oh,
here comes a bucket of Hedorah sludge.
Only in Portland, and that wouldn't be at the Academy. That would be at that other theater.
You do the tie-in with the chocolate milkshake somewhere, and then you do something like that. Sure,
Sludge shake.
The sludge shake. I would love to see a 3D IMAX Godzilla movie. I'm in.
Well, I understand that Godzilla Minus Zero is being made for an IMAX release.
Okay.
It's being shot digitally, so it's not, 1570 IMAX film, but Project Hail Mary was shot digitally for IMAX. And it sounds like Godzilla Minus Zero is going to be the first Godzilla film made specifically for the format. So we do have that coming this fall.
And it's coming soon. I don't want to get too far away from Hedorah because I know that's what we're talking about.
Because July 4th is over, so it's spooky season, people.
So before we wrap up, anything else anybody want to say about Hedorah?
It might be my favorite bad guy kaiju.
Ooh, nice.
Wow.
Yeah.
You wonder if the partial script that he had worked on for a sequel has ever been taken and given the full treatment as a novel or a comic book.
Stage play.
I mean, I wouldn't put it past them.
Okay, I'm a podcaster. Give me an audio drama. Give me that.
Well, that's the one. That's a good way to get around bad-looking special effects.
Yeah.
Do sound effects.
It's true.
All those sound great. Take my money. I am happy to see that this movie that has been lambasted and hated upon for a long time has come back around. Yeah. That in this era of post-COVID and dealing with the rise of, AI data centers and the concern that people have for the environment, I feel like this
Pacific garbage plume.
Yeah, I think that this film has found an audience, and people can see how poignant it is, and that's really cool. I love it for it being a giant kaiju monster movie, but I also love the fact that it says something and it seems to be connecting with people. The way that the audience cheered for when Godzilla defeated Hedorah at the end, to me, that was worth the price of the movie ticket. Seeing the whole place cheer for Godzilla was a heck of a lot of fun.
But both times he defeated Hedorah.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah, in case you didn't forget, or excuse me, in case you did forget how he did it again. I want to know how he survived. How did Godzilla survive? Because he was right there with Hedorah getting zapped by whatever it was that big transistor thing was. He was right there. How did he not?
I assume it's how Pikachu can't really be electrocuted.
Okay.
Or dragons are immune to fire.
Okay.
I was definitely picking up some Pokemon vibes.
Because he was very immune to the electricity, but he wasn't just immune to everything because the acid and the goo from Hedorah was burning his hands and his face and
his eye,
his booty, his eye, everything. Yeah.
Yeah.
I thought it was okay that since he could put out basically electricity, he was immune to electricity. It just recharges him.
It's a common thing with superpowers that you are immune to your own superpower.
Like and Superman getting punched.
Godzilla was the one powering those panels.
Yeah.
Fair enough. I dug it. I think While it wasn't necessarily my favorite, it certainly wasn't my least favorite going into this. It's definitely gone up the list for me in terms of some of my favorite Godzilla movies. I should really make a list of my top 10 Godzilla movies at some point. I enjoyed it. It would be in my top 10 for sure. I would trim it down.
We should do a bracket.
Oh, there we go. I would trim down some of the fighting scenes, which is weird to say about a Godzilla movie. But as the best Godzilla movies have shown us, you don't need more Godzilla to have more quality. Like the best zombie movies aren't about the zombies, it's about the people dealing with the zombies. The best kaiju movies aren't necessarily about the kaiju, it's about the people dealing with the kaiju.
Exactly. That's what makes Godzilla -1 the brilliant movie it is.
Yeah. Yeah, for sure.
You know what I would love? Sequel that Hedorah comes back in a new enhanced his next Pokemon form or whatever. And now it's the little kid that's Ken, but he's all grown up, so he can be like, I'm Ken too. Ha ha ha. Barbie reference. And well, you want to sell toys, don't you? And so Ken now is battling grown-up Hedorah, except for Ken's older, and so now it's Ken and his grandson. They're battling Hedorah or something like that.
I like it.
No?
Yeah. Take my money. Take my money. I'll buy that
make it 3D.
There you go.
All right, so I mentioned it a couple of times. I just want to say Godzilla -0 coming out in November of this year in Japan on November 3rd, here in the North America, November 6th. It is the shortest period of time between a Japanese and North American release of a Godzilla film. 3 days.
Yeah, that's pretty nice.
That's awesome. So November 6th, you know where I'm going to be.
Well, and I think that's because of the reaction of the fans to the last one. So if you want to keep seeing them, you got to buy a ticket. Even if you go on discount day, go. Because what they count a lot is the total number of butts in seats. I know, yes, the number of dollars is a factor, but butts in seats change studio minds.
Yep. Agreed.
Shall the four of us get back together mid-November and talk about it?
Yeah,
clearly.
Let's do it.
Jeff is all, yeah, sure. Clearly. Heck yeah. Oh, yeah. It's probably the one movie I'm looking forward to the absolute most for the rest of the year. This actually came up in a team meeting at my work about, what movies are you looking forward to this year? And I don't know what movies are coming out. Completely spacing on Godzilla -0. This is the one. So, yeah.
I'm looking forward to Godzilla -0 more than I am Avengers Doomsday.
Wow.
Yeah. I think so for me, too.
Wow. All right, so we're going to come back. I'm sure Jeff will be back on the show and Matt will be back on the show before then. But come November, we're going to have a revisit of Kaiju-like topics when we talk about Godzilla -0 for a roundtable then. I really appreciate everybody kind of coming together to do this. Today, there's going to be a very short turnaround because this is the episode that goes out in less than 24 hours. So,
wait, does that mean I'm off the hook till November then?
What do you mean off the hook? I thought you enjoyed this.
Well, I said Jeff would be back and Matt would be back.
I just assumed we're a package deal, right?
Ah, okay. Well,
I mean, it's the bride of Monster Kid Radio. It's kind of named after you.
It is now.
I was thinking it was. Yeah, you can bet I will be back in about a month because in less than a month, Dominique Lamses and I will be in Los Angeles for the 60th anniversary of Dark Shadows Fest. And I can't imagine us not recording things for the show while we're there.
I would love to get y'all back on for that.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
The Westin Los Angeles Airport Hotel, July 31st through August 2nd. If you're in the area, if you're going to go, track down Jeff and Dominique. They're both amazing huggers, and they're huge Dark Shadows fans. And, would love to see more Monster Kid Radio irregulars connect in the wild. That'll be awesome. So that'll be coming up.
I want to volunteer Dominique for this. If for some reason she doesn't feel like recording, I'll call in myself and talk about what I've seen each day.
I'm sure Dominique would love to talk about Dark Shadows.
I want to.
Yeah. And I know that I've got Matt coming up here on the show to talk about, what was it, Cyborg something or other?
2087.
Heck yeah.
Once we get past Kaiju Lie.
Cyborg 2087 will be the next time you hear Matt on the show. And I'm sure I'll rope Beth into being on the show again, probably within a few weeks, just because that's how it works.
Probably.
Well, that brings us to the end of this episode of Bride of Monster Kid Radio. Thank you for being here this week, and thanks for doing all that you do to help spread the word, whether it's retweeting tweets or Xing things or sharing posts on Facebook or hopping on to Reddit or various message boards and talking us up. We appreciate you doing that. And if you're not doing that, why aren't you doing that? We'd really like you to do that for us because we want to help spread the word about what we do here and the kind of love that we have for these classic and sometimes not so classic monster movies, especially when we're doing a theme month like this month with Kai July. Now, you're going to find everything that you need to know about what we do here at Bride of Monster Kid Radio over on our website at monsterkidradio.net. This is where you're going to find links to everything that we've mentioned, the Cosmic Monkey, the Academy Theater, and our various social media presences. I mentioned it briefly earlier. We're on X, we're on Facebook. We have a Facebook page and a Facebook group. We are on Reddit. We're also on Patreon. I'm going to come back to Patreon here in a second, but I want to go back and talk about Facebook real quick. Now, the other day, I posted something in the Facebook group, and I just want to throw out there, look, I know the internet can be kind of a weird place, and social media, it's sometimes hard to interpret tone and that sort of thing. I just want to make sure that all of the users of the Facebook group that we have set up for Bride of Monster Kid Radio understand that it's an extension of what we do here on the podcast, which we try to keep a relatively positive place. I've noticed an uptick in some of the snarkiness lately in the Facebook group, and I'm just going to ask that we kind of dial that back a little bit. Like I said, I know sometimes it's hard to interpret tone online when you're just reading something, but really, I want the Facebook group to be as welcoming as the podcast and everything else that we do when it comes to Bride of Monster Kid Radio, Team Death, and everything else. So just when you're posting something there, and please post there, just keep in mind that we're trying to keep things positive. You know what I mean? Anyway, we're on Facebook. It's the bottom line. We have a Facebook page and a Facebook group. We're also on Patreon. You can find us over at patreon.com/monsterkidradio. And this is the only place that I announce what the next episode of Bride of Monster Kid Radio is going to cover. Now, you can be sure it's going to be a kaiju film because it is Kai July. What are we going to talk about next week? Well, you've got to follow us on Patreon, and you can do this for free to find out. Later this week, I'll be posting all over various social media platforms. Instagram's another one of them, with the show notes and everything else, just to kind of remind people that the show's out there, and that's when I put the update out on Patreon. So please join us over there for free. You know, we're not very active on places like the Classic Horror Film Board, although I would really like to be. I'm just not able to do so with the amount of time that I have. So if you're active at that message board or any other message boards, I'd love to know about it, and I'd love for you to help spread the word. Let people know about what we do here at monsterkidradio.net. We also have feedback information over there, meaning if you want to drop us a line, you can do that. Email me at monsterkidradio@gmail.com or call and leave us a voicemail at 360-524-2484. We are going to be doing an episode probably the first week of August, which is just a big feedback catch-up episode. Don't wait till the last minute, though. We would love for you to let us know what you think about what we do here on the show. If you have any kaiju-specific thoughts or maybe thoughts about Godzilla vs. Hedorah, I would love to include you in an upcoming episode of the show. Again, 360-524-2484 or monsterkidradio@gmail.com, where you can write me an email or even send me a produced or just a recording of an audio file, and then I'll include you in the mix in the future. Over on our website, you're also going to find our Amazon affiliate link. You know, Godzilla vs. Hedorah is available as part of the Godzilla, the Showa Era Films Criterion Collection Blu-ray set. I don't know how long it's going to be on sale, but right now it is on sale for 50% off for like $113. By the time you hear this, it might have changed. But if you are interested in picking the set up, and I got to tell you, it's an incredible set, 50% off isn't bad. You know what? It just occurred to me. Criterion is doing their 50% off sale, so this is probably going to go for a few days. So go pick it up. Just when you do so, make sure you click on the link on our website first, and that'll take you there. Then add it to the cart, then check out. And by doing that, You're helping us out here at Bride of Monster Kid Radio because it takes a few pennies out of Jeff Bezos's pocketbook and throws it into ours. Every little bit helps us here at the podcast. So we'd really appreciate your support that way. If you're going to do any shopping on Amazon, just click the link first, then do the shopping, then do whatever it is you're going to do. Also, remember, we've got shirts available over at deathdesigns.bigcartel.com, and death is spelled D-E for Derek, T-H from Beth, deathdesigns.bigcartel.com. I think the website at Monster Kid Radio actually shows like the Murders in the Rue Morgue and the Earth versus the Flying Saucers shirts because these are the most recent shirt designs. However, there is a kaiju shirt where we've got images of the Japanese Godzilla one-sheets incorporated into what I think is a pretty cool shirt design. Every time I wear it at work, I get compliments. And if you want to get compliments, well, I can't guarantee the compliments, but I can guarantee it's an awesome shirt. And the shirts are only $30 with free shipping here in the U.S. And, I mean, I wear them. I wear these shirts almost exclusively. So I would love for you to wear them too. So go check them out. deathdesigns.bigcartel.com. Finally, we haven't talked about it in a few weeks. I do want to remind everybody that we are going to be panelists at the Gathering of the Ghouls. You can get to it at gatheringoftheghouls.com. Check out what they're doing. This is a big convention, August 22nd and 23rd at the Mesa Convention Center here in Mesa, Arizona. We've got all sorts of guests lined up and other events and panels. And that's what Beth and I are going to be doing. We are panelists. We are doing Bride of Monster Kid Radio presents classic monster movies for modern horror fans. It's going to be a fun chat, a fun time, and I would love to bump into you there. If you're going to be there, let me know. I'd love to give you a hug, a high five, or maybe just a meaningful look across the room. It'd be fun to meet up with other Monster Kid Radio listeners out in the wild. Bride of Monster Kid Radio is a Team Death production. All original content of Bride of Monster Kid Radio is licensed under a Creative Commons Attribution, Non-Commercial, No Derivatives 4.0 Unported license. You can learn more about Team Death, our other projects like Death Designs, Mail Order Zombie, the Team Death YouTube channel, and more at www.teamdeath.com. Remember, death is spelled D-E-T-H. All previous episodes of this podcast, as well as the original Monster Kid Radio podcast, are available at www.monsterkidradio.net. Please rate and review Bride of Monster Kid Radio wherever you download your favorite podcasts. When Earth Orbits into a Nightmare is copyright 2026. The Chaffs. They're a surf band based out of Belgium, and they're awesome. You can find out more about them over at chiffchaffs.bandcamp.com or go to their website, which is just chiffchaffs.com, or look them up on YouTube. There's actually a music video for When Earth Orbits into a Nightmare. However you check them out, let them know that you heard about them here on Bride of Monster Kid Radio. My name's Derek M. Cook. I'll talk to everybody next week. Ciao and scrong!
When terror rained from the sky, when the Earth orbits into a nightmare,